The room is cold, sterile and silent, except for the faint hum of fluorescent lights. You sit at the center of it all, hands cuffed to a metal table, your posture relaxed, almost indifferent. They think they've won, that they've finally contained you, but you know better. This isn't a defeat, it's a test, a trial ordained by something far greater than them. The air is thick with tension, but you breathe it in like it's your birthright. You were chosen for this, and they have no idea what that means. The door opens with a heavy creak, and in walks their best, a figure sharp, calculated, and dripping with confidence. Their reputation precedes them like a shadow, the one who breaks the unbreakable, the one who decodes the indecipherable. They've dismantled hardened criminals, unraveled spies, and shattered the wills of those who thought themselves invincible. Their presence is commanding, their gaze piercing, and their every movement deliberate. They carry a file, thick with dead ends and contradictions, your name stamped across the front in bold black letters. It's a dossier filled with questions, theories, and redacted sections, a testament to how little they truly know about you. They sit across from you, their eyes scanning you like a puzzle they're eager to solve. But you don't flinch. You don't even blink. You just sit there, calm, unreadable, and utterly in control. The air between you crackles with unspoken tension, but it doesn't touch you. You've been here before. You'll be here again, and you know how this ends. They start with their usual tactics, questions designed to provoke, to unsettle, to unravel. Their voice is steady at first, probing for weaknesses, for cracks in your armor. They ask about your past, your motives, your so-called gifts. They try to corner you with logic, with guilt, with fear. But you don't react. Instead, you respond with silence, or with answers so cryptic they only deepen the mystery. Your words are like riddles wrapped in enigmas and delivered with a calmness that unnerves them. Their confidence wavers, just for a moment, but it's enough. You see it, the flicker of doubt in their eyes, the subtle tightening of their jaw. They've never faced someone like you, and it's already pissing them off. They lean forward, their voice sharpening, their questions growing more aggressive. But the harder they push, the more you resist, not with defiance, but with an unshakable stillness that feels like a mirror reflecting their own frustration back at them. They escalate their tactics, threats, isolation, even physical intimidation. They try to break you with fear, with pain, with the weight of their authority. But none of it works. Your spiritual power shields you, a divine force they can't comprehend. Maybe your eyes glow faintly, a subtle light that makes them hesitate, or maybe the room fills with an eerie calm, the temperature dropping as if the universe itself is holding its breath. They can't touch you, no matter how hard. They try, and it terrifies them. They're used to breaking people, to reducing them to nothing. But you're not just unbreakable, you're untouchable. Their threats fall flat, their intimidation tactics crumble, and their confidence begins to erode. They're starting to realize that they're not dealing with a person. They're dealing with something far beyond their understanding. Hours stretch into days, questions spiral into frustrated circles, and still you remain their greatest puzzle. Their composed facade begins to crack. Their knuckles whiten against the table, their voice rises, their movements grow erratic. They've pried secrets from the most guarded souls, yet you remain an enigma. Their tie loosens, their hands tremble, frustration flickers in their bloodshot eyes. They cannot understand why their tactics, psychological warfare, emotional manipulation, relentless probing, fail against you. They've built their career on breaking people, on reducing them to their most vulnerable selves. But you're a fortress, a mountain, a force of nature. And the harder they try, the more they realize how outmatched they are. Their frustration turns to desperation, their desperation to anger, and their anger to something darker, something that feels like fear. You decide to show them a glimpse of your power. Maybe you reveal a secret about their past, something no one could possibly know, a name, a place, a moment they thought buried forever. Or maybe the room trembles with divine energy. The lights flicker and the air grows heavy, as if the walls themselves are bending to your will. They freeze, their bravado shattered. For the first time they realize they're not in control. This isn't just an interrogation, it's a reckoning, and you're the one holding the scales. Their voice falters, their hands drop to their sides, and their eyes widen with a mix of awe and terror. They've spent their entire career trying to break people, but now they're the ones being broken. And you don't even move. You just sit there, calm and unshaken as the weight of your power fills the room. Their frustration turns to desperation. They scream, they demand answers, but you just sit there, calm and unshaken. Their hands slam against the table, their voice cracks, their composure crumbles. They've spent their entire career breaking people, but now they're the ones breaking. And you don't even flinch. You just watch, a faint smile playing on your lips as they spiral into obsession. Their questions become incoherent, their movements frantic, their desperation palpable. They've lost control. And they know it, but you've never been more in control. You've never been more powerful. And as they unravel before you, you realize this was never about them breaking you. It was about you showing them how small they are in the grand scheme. You take control of the room, not with words, but with presence. The energy shifts, the balance of power tilts in your favor. They realize too late that they've been outplayed. This was never about them breaking you. It was about you showing them how small they are in the grand scheme. You stand, the cuffs falling away as if they were never there. The room seems to hold its breath as you walk toward the door, leaving them in stunned silence. They don't try to stop you. They can't. They're too broken, too defeated, too lost in the realization that they never stood a chance. And as the door closes behind you, you know this is just the beginning. The world will learn eventually that you can't be broken, you can't be decoded, and you will always triumph. Because you're not just a person, you're a force of nature, and the world will bend to your will, or it will break trying. Drop a comment. I am beyond their comprehension if you know they'll never figure you out. You step out of the room, the heavy door slamming shut behind you. The hallway is empty, the air cool and still. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the encounter settle into your bones. This wasn't a battle, it was a lesson, and they failed. You walk away, your footsteps echoing in the silence, your presence lingering like a shadow they'll never escape. As you move through the empty halls, you reflect on what just happened. Being a chosen one isn't just about power, it's about purpose. You're targeted because you're a threat to the darkness, a beacon of light in a world that thrives on chaos. The interrogator's breakdown is a reminder of why you were chosen. You're not just unbreakable, you're inevitable. You think about the bigger picture. Every trial, every enemy is part of a plan far greater than you can comprehend. The interrogator was just a pawn, a small piece in a much larger game. You feel the weight of your mission, the responsibility of your power, but you also feel the certainty of your purpose. You were chosen for this, and you will not fail. Their need to understand you isn't just curiosity, it's a festering obsession born from their own insecurity. They approach you with the arrogance of someone who believes every puzzle has a solution, every lock a key. But the deeper they dig, the further they are from grasping your essence. They throw every weapon they have at you: psychological manipulation, emotional coercion, even spiritual probing. Each one designed to strip away your layers and expose the core they are so desperate to see. Yet, their tactics only bounce off, the invisible armor you wear, leaving them more bewildered with each failed attempt. Your layers are divinely hidden, woven with mysteries that only those with a pure heart and higher perception can even begin to grasp. They ask questions laced with arrogance, believing they hold the right tools to extract your truth. But what they don't realize is that knowing the questions means nothing if they lack the wisdom to interpret the answers. Their eyes scan you for weaknesses, their ears listen for hesitation, but their minds remain blind to the power that flows within you. Their confidence was once unshakable. They believed that everyone could be unraveled, that no wall was too high to scale. But with you, their certainty turns to doubt, and their ego, once their greatest weapon, becomes their downfall. They entered the battle with arrogance, convinced they could outthink you, outmaneuver you, outlast you. Yet, as the minutes turn into hours and the hours into days, their carefully crafted tactics crumble against the sheer force of your unwavering mystery. The obsidian inner order is forged for those who relentlessly pursue immortal greatness. This is a sacred group of titans who understand that mastery leaves an eternal mark. Every week, our warriors gather for profound strategy sessions that pierce the veil of mediocrity. No surface-level content, no spiritual bypass, just ancestral wisdom merged with modern domination from those who've conquered their domains. With over 450 chosen members, these weekly calls deliver the sacred blueprints needed to claim your sovereign throne. Every transmission is preserved in our sanctified vault, accessible to those who understand that wisdom reveals itself when the student is ready. This isn't about temporary motivation, it's about awakening your dormant power. Our private Discord has become the inner sanctum where genuine kings connect in ways that reshape reality. Here, legacies are forged, destinies are aligned, and brotherhood transcends the shallow connections of the masses. When members of the Order unite, the universe conspires to make way. Stop watching from the sidelines. Your seat at the table of titans awaits. The link is in the description below. Silence. It terrifies them more than any words ever could. They thrive on noise, on chaos, on emotional outbursts, on the predictable patterns of human weakness. But you offer them nothing, no anger, no fear, no desperate pleas, just an impenetrable wall of silence. And that silence is more deafening than any scream they've ever heard. It's in the way you hold their gaze without flinching, the way your presence alone makes their carefully rehearsed strategies crumble. They expect you to react, to fill the void with explanations and confessions. They probe with calculated pauses, hoping to draw out your insecurities. But your silence, it stretches like an abyss they cannot cross. It forces them to hear their own doubts, their own anxieties whispering back at them. They begin to second-guess their own methods, questioning whether they ever truly had control. And in that moment, they realize the painful truth. Without your cooperation, they are powerless. Control is their currency, their weapon, their very foundation. They have built their entire existence around the ability to manipulate, dictate, and orchestrate outcomes to fit their agenda. And yet, here you are, beyond their reach, beyond their influence. It terrifies them. The more they try to contain you, the more you slip through their fingers like smoke. They cannot predict your next move, cannot mold you into something they understand, and it drives them into a silent panic, masked by frustration and aggression. People like them function within the confines of structure and expectation. They dissect, in patterns, exploit weaknesses, and thrive on predictability. But chosen ones, you don't conform to their rules. You move with a rhythm that isn't dictated by external forces. You exist outside their framework, operating on a frequency they cannot tune into, and nothing is more frightening to them than something or someone they cannot control. They probe, they push, they attempt to box you in with labels, stereotypes, and expectations, but your very existence defies their logic. They are left grappling with a painful realization. Their power was never real to begin with. It was an illusion that crumbles the moment they encounter someone like you, someone who does not seek their approval, who does not bend to their authority. The more they fail to contain you, the more their desperation grows. They start to lash out, throwing every tactic they know at you, but none of it sticks. They can't intimidate what they don't understand. They can't control what refuses to submit. And that truth haunts them, because in you, they see a force they can neither predict nor dominate. A force that exists beyond their comprehension, beyond their reach. Their greatest fear isn't losing control over you. Their greatest fear is realizing they never had control to begin with. They watch you, baffled by your progress, your evolution, your undeniable success, all without their approval, without their influence, without their validation. In their world, success is transactional, earned through alliances, manipulation, and control. But you move differently. You rise without their permission, thrive without their applause, and it unsettles them to their core. They cannot fathom how you continue to grow in silence, without seeking acknowledgement or fitting into their carefully constructed mold of achievement. They've been conditioned to believe that power comes from external sources, connections, influence, and the constant pursuit of recognition. Yet you, the chosen one, defy that illusion with every step you take. You don't crave their acceptance. You don't seek their endorsement. Your strength comes from within, from a higher source. They cannot comprehend, and that terrifies them because it means you operate beyond their reach, beyond their control. They analyze your every move, trying to pinpoint the secret behind your growth. They dissect your choices, your lifestyle, your relationships, convinced there must be an explanation. But what they fail to understand is that your elevation isn't tied to the superficial metrics they hold dear. Your success is rooted in divine timing, in purpose, in a path carved out specifically for you, one they can neither disrupt nor derail. Their confusion quickly turns to resentment. They want to know why their opinions, their critiques, their attempts to discredit you hold no weight in your world. They cannot comprehend how you continue to expand without their validation, how you thrive without their permission. But that is the essence of a chosen one. You don't need to be seen, to be significant. You don't need approval to advance. Your journey is not dependent on their understanding. It is driven by something far greater. And as they wrestle with the mystery of your growth, they are forced to face an uncomfortable truth. True power is not granted by others. It is something that comes from within, something that cannot be stolen, manipulated, or diminished. In their relentless pursuit to break you, something unexpected happens. They expose themselves. Every tactic they deploy, every strategy they execute only serves to highlight their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears. They entered this battle believing they held all the power, convinced they could unravel you piece by piece. But instead, they stand stripped bare, forced to confront the very weaknesses they sought to project onto you. Your resilience acts as a mirror, reflecting their inadequacies in ways they never anticipated. The more they push, the more desperate they become, grasping at straws as their confidence wavers. Their voice cracks with frustration, their composure slips, and their once imposing presence begins to shrink under the weight of their own self-doubt. The cracks in their foundation, once hidden behind arrogance and authority, become glaringly obvious in the face of your unshakable strength. They thought they could control you with fear, yet it is they who now live in fear. Fear of exposure, fear of failure, fear of the truth. Their obsession with breaking you was never about you. It was always about them. About their need to feel superior, to mask their own emptiness by trying to dismantle your strength. But in their pursuit, they have only succeeded in revealing the hollowness within themselves. You remain a fortress, standing tall while they crumble before your eyes. Their confidence, their sense of control, it was all an illusion, one that could not withstand the quiet power of your presence. And now, as they face the undeniable, reality of their own weakness, they are left with nothing but the bitter realization that the battle they waged was never against you. It was always against their own reflection, the image they've carefully cultivated. The one of dominance, control, and unshakable authority begins to fracture under the weight of their failure. They have spent years perfecting their craft, mastering the art of manipulation, intimidation, and psychological warfare. Yet here they are, sitting across from you, stripped of their illusions, their confidence eroding like sand beneath their feet. You haven't lifted a finger, yet they are crumbling, and the most unsettling part, they know it. Their entire identity was built on the belief that they could break anyone, that no mind was too strong, no will too indomitable. But facing you, their strategies have proven useless, their methods obsolete. Every unanswered question, every failed attempt to provoke a reaction chips away at their sense of self. They realize too late that their power was never real. It was only effective against those who didn't truly know themselves. You watch as their composure cracks, as frustration turns into doubt and doubt turns into fear. The smirk they once wore with such arrogance fades, replaced by a hollow expression of disbelief. They are haunted by the truth. Faced with someone like you, their tactics mean nothing. The control they once wielded over others now feels meaningless. And with every moment that passes, they are forced to accept that they have lost something far greater than this battle. They have lost themselves. Their facade, once so impenetrable, collapses before your very eyes. The legend they built around themselves, the fear they once commanded, has been dismantled by your mere existence. And now, exposed and vulnerable, they are left with no choice but to walk away, defeated and diminished. You, on the other hand, remain untouched, unbothered, and undefeated. You stand as proof that chosen ones cannot be dismantled, cannot be decoded, and cannot be controlled. What they once perceived as mere defiance, they now recognize as something far greater, divine resilience. You are not just resistant, you are untouchable, guided by a force they cannot comprehend, protected by a purpose they cannot disrupt. Their efforts have only served to solidify your strength. Each attempt to break you has forged you into something even more unshakable, an unstoppable force that operates beyond their understanding. They watch in disbelief as you rise, unaffected by their tactics, growing stronger in the face of adversity. While they crumble under the weight of their own insecurities, you ascend, empowered by a destiny that was never theirs to control, the very thing they sought to destroy. Your inner peace, your confidence, your unwavering faith has become your greatest weapon. They underestimated you, believing you could be reduced to a set of patterns and responses, but chosen ones are not of this world. Your power does not come from them, nor does it depend on their validation. And that is why they fail. Because they cannot destroy what they never understood in the first place. They will walk away from this battle defeated, exhausted and empty-handed. But you will continue forward, untouched and unwavering, moving with a certainty that they will never possess. They have learned the hard way that chosen ones cannot be conquered, cannot be unraveled, and will always remain a mystery to those who seek to control them. You were never meant to fit within their systems, and that truth will haunt them long after you are gone. They exhausted every tactic, deployed every strategy, and poured their energy into unraveling you, only to realize that chosen ones cannot be dismantled. Your power does not come from their systems, their validations, or their understanding. It is divine, it is eternal, and it is beyond their comprehension. They leave this battle shattered, their illusions of control destroyed, while you rise untouched by their attempts to diminish you. You were never meant to be understood by the ordinary. You were meant to transcend, to elevate, to exist beyond the limitations of those who seek to contain you. Stand firm in your purpose, chosen ones, and trust that your mystery is your greatest strength.